Thanks for joining today, everybody. Welcome to All Levels Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. So let's begin in a comfortable seat of your choice. Your translation of Sukhasana, which means easy pose. For some, it may mean sitting on a pillow. For some, crossing the legs. For some, sitting on your shins. And just allow a moment to move your body in any way to settle in. Check in. Maybe even close your eyes to tune in. Beginning to situate yourself to pay more attention to your breathing. So we're now on day 3 of exploring the second niyama within the second limb of the 8 limbs of yoga. And the second niyama is called Santosha, translated as contentment. In mindfulness practice, contentment is a byproduct of intentionally cultivating joy, having a regular practice of cultivating joy. A professor in Oxford University, Willem Kuyken, wrote an article about joy, and he says that it's an intrinsic attitude of mind that includes gladness of the heart, soft-heartedness, and tenderness that supports a capacity for appreciation, contentment, so there's Santosha, and gratitude. The near enemies of joy are sentimentality and exuberance, as he says. We may be carried away by the idea of joy rather than being truly alive to it in a given moment. For example, we denote days of celebration like Valentine's Day, and it is possible to get caught up in a pretense of gaiety rather than being open to joy whenever it arises. He says that joy helps us befriend difficulties and meet suffering with equanimity and compassion. If you'll recall, equanimity is having that space between stimulus and response to have a clear and balanced discernment. So finding joy in others' happiness, he says, is an antidote to emotions like resentment or lessening our own sense of inadequacy and tempering our tendency toward envy. When we free our minds and hearts from envy, resentment, covetousness, like asteya, we talked about that in the first limb of yoga, and continual judging, we can really appreciate our own and others' well-being. So joy in mindfulness practice, different from happiness, is sort of a softer state of being in which you can appreciate the beauty of a leaf or your big toe or your breath. It's having sort of a childlike innocence of being able to appreciate simplicity. So there are 2 pointers that he gives in cultivating joy and thus helping to cultivate our capacity for Santosha. One is to bring your whole heart into the moment, and that requires being present, right? How many times are our minds somewhere else thinking about something else instead of right here with our physical bodies? So the asana yoga practice, the physical, is a practice of that. Bring our whole self into this physical being. And then 2, he says, cultivate innocent perception of everyday things. Innocent perception of everyday things. So as we sit here now, maybe resting the hands in your lap, and perhaps even closing your eyes, bringing your attention to your breath just as it is. Bring your attention to what's beneath your physical body as you allow your pelvis to more evenly ground to the left and right sides. And then in your mind's eye, Set your attention on the base of your spine, the lowest part of your spine. Imagining that each vertebra is a block restacking as you trace your attention up your spine. Can you feel the lower back beginning to lift a little taller as the pelvis presses downward? Stacking the middle of your spine within your rib cage throughout your thoracic. Feeling a sense of uplift as you elongate through your neck. Lengthen through your crown. And now deepening the breath from the base of your spine, restack again as you inhale deeply. Letting your attention rise up your spine through the crown of your head. And as you exhale, slowly slide your attention downward from the crown, softening any sense of rigidity as you're paying attention to lengthening your spine. Ending at the base, at the bottom of the breath. And try a few more like this, breathing up the spine slowly, creating a little more space between each vertebra. And exhaling down the spine, letting go of any sense of rigidity or unnecessary contraction or gripping, even in the face. Now, as you continue to uplift the spine and root down through the pelvis, let's add some movement to the breath. Closing the lips if you can, just breathing through your nose so we can warm up through it too. On your next inhale, reaching your arms high overhead, rotate your outer upper arms forward and begin to bend your elbows apart, sort of like a cactus shape, sliding your shoulder blades downward as you lift up to your crown. So feel the length of your neck, feel your chest broaden. And now as you exhale, begin to contract your belly, let your chin drop towards your chest as you give yourself a hug, literally. Crossing the arms tightly so maybe the elbows stack. And then inhale, lifting the elbows, raise the arms overhead, lengthening the spine as you coil your chest up, the elbows again bending apart, the shoulder blades sliding down. Be really attentive to the subtleties. Exhale, rounding with the opposite arm, hugging over the other. Chin drops towards the chest, looking down at the belly. Again, inhale, lifting from lower spine, broaden the chest, back stroking the arms. Opposite arm on top. As you exhale, contract the belly in and up, dropping the chin as you round. Last time, inhale, raise the arms, blossoming your chest open without losing length in your lower spine here. Draw the navel inward, and then exhale, the opposite arm crosses over as you round into a hug. This time, inhale, raise your arms tall. Interlacing your fingers, accept your index, crossing the thumbs. And if you're crossing your legs, I invite you to switch the opposite leg forward or on top, and maybe even flex your feet to create a little more sense of stability and grounding. Root down through your pelvis, get a little taller through your index fingers and crown. Let your outer upper arms rotate forward as your biceps frame your ears, and then draw your shoulders down, seal in your bottom front ribs. Take a deep breath, keeping your pelvis still. Twist to your left, so you're rotating the rib cage. Inhale to center, and exhale, twist to your right. With a breath, breathe in, center. Breathe out, twist. Purely using your side core muscles, your abdominals as well. Exhale, twist. Now just keep going at your pace of breath. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. For those of you that want to create a little more heat, you can come into breath of fire, where you inhale all the way to one side and you exhale all the way to the other side, adding a more rapid rhythmic breath as the belly bounces towards the spine. With each exhale, you're just breathing through the nose. Keep lifting tall through the spine, grounding through the sitting bones, sort of like you're a screw that's digging into the floor here. Last few seconds. Keep the throat open. And come back to center, deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold. Crawling your fingertips ahead. Extending your chest forward as you bow. Now, slowing the breath down into Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breathing. Allow a soft whispering sound as your breath brushes past the back of your throat and exits your nostrils, sustaining equally in and out. Falling the hands towards you. Let's come on down to all fours, hands and knees. So as you set up your knees a couple inches behind your hips, set your wrists directly under your shoulders, and then make some spider fingers for a moment. Really feel the very tips of your fingers rooting into the floor, and can you rebound your weight off the floor? You can explore that for a moment to see the opposite of sinking into the floor. The shoulders kind of shrug into the ears, the joints feel a little heavier, as opposed to rebounding your way off the floor, and you're creating more space within your shoulders, able to lengthen your neck. Now keep that rebounding, and now spread your fingers flat, but can you put a little more weight into your fingertips as you rebound your weight off the ground? Inhale, raise your right arm, open your chest, right palm towards your right wall. Exhale, slide the right arm underneath the left bent elbow. Right side of your head lowers, but we're going to flow. So inhale, rise up, right arm towards the sky again. Exhale, slide the right arm underneath towards thread the needle. 3 more. Inhale, lift up. Open the right collarbone from the sternum. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. Once more, and then we're going to hold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. And now as we hold for about 5 deep breaths, you can move your left hand over to the left so that wrist is pretty much right under your left elbow. You can even come onto your left fingertips. Feel free to use a block under your skull if you need something to rest on. Smoothing the breath out. Feel your shoulder blades spread wide across your back ribs. And at the end of this exhale, let's press up to all fours, preparing for side 2. A little flow before we hold. Inhale, raise your left arm up high, open across your wingspan. Exhale, thread your left arm under your right bent elbow, tapping the ground with the left side of your head. Inhale, rise, left arm to the sky. Exhale, rotate, left arm under right elbow. 3 more. Inhale, lift, open. Exhale, twist, slide it through. Inhale, lift, open. Exhale, twist, slide it through. Last one. Breathe in. And exhale, twist. Now let's stay another 5 deep breaths and thread the needle. Feel free to use a block under your head if you need one. And you might adjust your right hand so that wrist is just under the elbow, the right elbow. Feel the leveling of your 2 hips. Your shoulder blades broadening apart. At the end of your exhale, come on up to all fours, hands and knees, preparing for a few rounds of cat-cow, Virasana. On your next breath in, draw your chest through your upper arms, then roll your shoulders back to look up. As you exhale, lift your belly towards the sky and drop your skull, rounding your back. Again, inhale, lengthen your chest through your arms, then tilt your heart up. Exhale as you round, contract your belly, feel your shoulder blades separate. 2 more cycles on your own. Can you accentuate the lift of your navel towards your back body as you breathe out? Beautiful. And then from here, extending your right leg behind you, tuck the toes. Feel that your fingers are really spread wide. You feel the fingertips really rebounding your weight off the floor. Your left wrist is directly under left shoulder. Now spin your right heel flat onto the ground. Really press the outer edge of your right heel into the floor so that right leg feels strong and stable. Press the floor away with your left hand. And then raise your right arm towards the sky, entering a variation of Vrikshasana, side plank. Now feel your tailbone, and can you actively reach it back towards your inner right heel? And at the same time, lengthen the crown of your head forward towards your front wall as you feel your two shoulder blades spread onto your back ribs away from your neck. Now keep your right foot where it is. Slide your left foot behind you towards your left wall so that your left shin crosses your mat perpendicularly. And then with your right toes, draw an arc towards your left wall behind you, spinning the heel flat off your mat. Now turning your chest towards the sky, you're in a back bend. Sweep your right arm up and overhead. Maybe look back towards your right fingertips, dropping the head back. And can you allow your shoulder blades here to plug onto your back ribs away from your neck? This is a variation of tripod back bend or wild thing. It's a heart opening pose. So feel the heart center lift. Feel your left hand rebound your weight off the ground as the head tilts back. Even the navel is drawing in here. We're not letting the belly just soften completely. And then sweep your right arm back to the floor, re-entering hands and knees, all fours. Inhale, lengthen your chest through your upper arms and coil it up into cow pose. Exhale, contract your abdomen, look down into cat pose. Continue for 2 more cycles. At the end of the cycle, relax to a neutral spine. Look at your hands, spread your fingers wide, root down through your fingertips, rebound your weight off the floor, and lengthen your neck. Then tuck your left toes behind you as you straighten your left leg, firm the front muscle of your left thigh. Spin your left heel flat onto the ground, turning your chest to face your left wall. Now feel the outside edge of your left foot really rooting into the earth. Right palm rooting into the earth as you raise your left arm. Notice that you're stacking your 2 wrists and your 2 shoulders like one straight line. Deep breaths. Can you firm the right side of your waist to lift it away from the floor? As you slide your 2 shoulder blades down your back, lengthen the crown of your head towards your front wall. Lengthen your tailbone towards your inner left heel. With steady breaths, begin to slide your right foot behind you towards your right wall so that your right shin is now perpendicular to your mat. Then trace your left toes to make an arc following your right foot until you spin the left heel flat onto the earth and turn your belly and chest to face the sky, reaching your left arm over your face, overhead towards your front wall. Draw your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Feel your belly drawing in towards your spine as you broaden your chest here a few breaths in a variation of wild thing or tripod back bend. Let's take a lion's breath here. Deep inhale. Stick out your tongue, open your mouth and eyes wide. And slowly come back to all fours, hands and knees. Set your weight back onto your shins for a moment. Let's give the outer wrists a stretch by making fists, pressing them against each other while leaning the backs of your fists onto the floor. Then shift your weight slowly forward to find just the right amount of intensity for this outer wrist stretch. You might gently shake your head no, loosening your neck, or flutter your lips, loosening your jaw. And as you lean back onto your legs, softly shake out your arms, your hands, and let's make our way into downward facing dog. Take a few breaths if you want to shift around in your own way. Pedal your feet in place, warm up your hamstrings and calves, or move your head around and really relax your neck and jaw. Now, as you spread your weight through all of your fingertips, root into the base of your thumb and index fingers. Let your inner forearms spiral towards the floor so that the inner creases of your elbows turn to face each other like eyes. And in contrast, let your outer upper arms spiral towards the floor. So they're ringing in opposite directions, allowing your shoulder blades to spread wider onto your back ribs as you drop your skull. Lift your shoulder blades up away from your neck. Draw your sitting bones high and towards your rear wall. Belly firming in, heels becoming heavier. Let's take 3 more breaths. Coming into a regular vinyasa, modify any way that you might need. On an inhale, glide forward into the top of a push-up, plank pose, and let's pause for a few breaths. Here, you can lower your knees for added support or keep your legs actively straight, firming the heels back. See that your wrists are right beneath your shoulders as you're gazing at the floor 1 foot ahead of your hands to lengthen your neck. Broaden your shoulder blades, down your back ribs, and lift your lower belly. Keep a strong feeling of plank throughout your torso and legs as you exhale to glide 1 foot ahead of your wrists before bending your elbows back to hug your side ribs, lowering through Chaturanga Dandasana and all the way down. Pointing your toes from the tops of your feet on the mat, and inhale, draw your chest forward, peeling the shoulder blades down your back in Cobra Pose. Tuck your toes. Exhale, press up through your plank pose again. Then lift your sitting bones into downward facing dog. Take a deep breath and bend your knees, look past your hands. Exhale, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat. With feet hips distance apart, parallel, press the ground ahead or your shins. And inhale, lift your chest halfway up. Exhale, fold in. Maybe with a little bend in the knees. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead to rise into Urdhva Hastasana, reaching your palms together overhead. Exhale, trace your thumbs together at your hearts. Pause and allow a moment to perhaps dedicate your practice, sending your love to somebody that might need it right now, or to set your intention. Sealing that intention together, let's chant 1 Om. Take a deep breath in. Continuing your Ujjayi breath, bring your feet together so that your big toes touch. Release your arms by your sides in mountain pose, palms facing forward, stand tall. We're going to trace our way through a vinyasa flow sequence. Let's slowly marking the with knees touching. Inhale, sit into chair pose, perhaps grazing your fingertips on the floor, arms up. Take a few extra breaths as you draw your weight back towards your heels. Hug your front ribs inward and relax your shoulders down. Maybe sit a little lower. As you exhale, hinge forward, straightening the legs in Uttanasana. Press with your fingertips and inhale, draw your heart forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Step back to plank or lightly jump into Chaturanga Dandasana. Continue down or flip your toes, cobra or upward facing dog. Draw the belly in to lift your hips back to downward facing. Here, inhale, raise your right leg behind you, squaring your hips, lift from your inner thigh. As you exhale, round forward through plank, bending the knee towards your nose to very softly land your right foot just inside of your right hand. Keeping your feet hips width apart, spin your back heel to the ground for warrior one. Root down through your feet and inhale, rise all the way up to stand. Warrior one. Root the outside edge of your left heel into the earth and spiral your inner left thigh towards your rear wall, straightening your back leg. Bend your front knee just over the heel, drawing your right hip slightly back while lifting your frontal hip bones. On your next exhale, backstroke your hands behind your back to clasp, or you can grab a strap quickly. You can also catch hold of opposite forearms if you like. Breathing in as you lift your chest, draw your tailbone down, finding no added compression into the lower back, but instead a lift of the lower spine from the pelvis. On your next exhale, begin to bow, either to rest on top of your right thigh or inside of your right ankle, scissoring your right hip back in humble warrior. Let your skull drop as you stretch your arms forward, lifting your shoulders away from your neck. Stay steady through both feet. Looking beyond your right foot, prepare to enter warrior three just for a moment. You can keep your hands clasped or join your hands together at your heart for easier access. Shift your weight onto your right foot, flex your left foot and lift from the inner thigh until you can create a horizontal line from crown of your head to left heel, lifting the lower belly. Now this is just going to be a transitional movement when we're flowing. So we're prepared to land warrior two, backstroking your left arm as you set your left foot to the rear of your mat, arms wide open, align right heel to the arch of your left foot. Steadying your gaze just past your right hand, warrior two, wrap your right outer hip underneath. Firm the top of your left thigh bone towards your right wall, tall spine. Prepare for peaceful warrior by wrapping your left arm behind your back, either onto your sacrum or to catch hold of your right thigh. Flip your right palm to face up and sideways bend towards your rear wall. Right arm overhead. Feel your navel alive here, drawing in towards the spine and heart. Passing through warrior two, come into side angle. Bring your right forearm to land on your right thigh. Sweep your left arm overhead towards your front wall and draw your right sitting bone towards your left heel, spiraling your chest towards the sky. On your next in-breath, rise back to warrior two, arms open. Then exhale, land through plank pose, lowering through chaturanga, entering your vinyasa of choice. Breathe in to lift the chest. Breathe out to lift your hips, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths for a moment. All right, side two. Lifting from your inner thigh. Inhale, raise your left leg back. Contract your belly and round forward. Exhale, bend the knee towards your nose. Softly landing left foot just inside of left hand. With your feet hips width apart, spin your right heel to the ground, toes facing slightly forward. Press into the ground and inhale, rise. Warrior one. Squaring your two hips forward with pelvis upright. Ground to your outer right heel and bend your front knee just over the ankle. Inhale, backstroke your arms, switch the interlacing of thumb and index on top, or hold the other forearm on top. Coiling your chest. On your next exhale, humble warrior. Bowing forward, keep your 2 hips evenly facing forward. Use the weight of your back heel to counterbalance you. Head falling, arms reaching forward to open the chest. Lift your shoulders up and relax your neck. Preparing for warrior 3. Looking past your left foot, you can keep your hands just like this or join your hands in prayer at your heart. As you shift your weight forward, lift your right leg from the inner thigh to help square your hips, creating a horizontal line as you flex your right foot. The line is from crown to inner right heel. Then softly land the right foot down into warrior 2, cartwheeling your arms apart, aligning left heel to arch of right foot. As you steady your gaze past your left hand, wrap your left sitting bone underneath from the top of your right thigh bone towards your left wall. Tall spine. Peaceful warrior. Flip your left palm to face up and sideways bend towards your rear wall as you wrap the right arm behind you, whether onto your lower back or to catch hold of your left thigh. Keep bending your left knee forward. Side angle pose. Rising through warrior 2. Reach the left arm forward to land the forearm on your left thigh. As you sweep your tailbone towards your right heel, reach your right arm overhead towards your front wall, wrapping the tricep towards the ground as you spiral your chest towards the sky. Firm to your feet. Inhale, rise back to warrior 2. Exhale your hands to the earth, lowering into your choice of a vinyasa. When you arrive in downward facing, give yourself 3 to 5 breaths to set the pace. We'll wrap up this sequence and we'll flow continuously the next round. 1 breath, each movement. Know that you can rest or slow it down if you need to. You can take a few breaths in a movement if you need to. Remember, the point is to create a sort of meditative state through the repetition and the synchronization of breath and body. Let's wrap this up. Bend your knees, look forward. Bottom of the breath, walk or float, feet together at the top. Breathe in, lift your chest to rise halfway. Breathe out, bow in. With knees together, inhale, sit into chair pose, arms up. Press the feet down to exhale, rise up. From the top, continuous flow. Inhale into chair. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Step to plank or float back into chaturanga. Move through your own vinyasa. From downward facing dog, inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, step the foot inside of right hand, spin the back heel down, facing forward. Inhale, rise into warrior 1. Exhale, backstroke your hands to clasp behind your back. Inhale, lift your chest to prepare. Exhale, bow forward into devotion or humble warrior. Inhale, lean forward. Hands can come together at your heart if you like. Warrior 3, flex the left foot. Exhale, cartwheel the arms to land warrior 2. Flip the right palm up. Inhale, peaceful warrior, your wall. Exhale, reach towards your front wall in side angle. Right forearm to thigh, left arm overhead. Inhale, rise again to warrior two. Exhale, lower to plank, continue on to your vinyasa. Breathing in. Breathing out. From downward dog. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, round forward, step the foot just inside of left hand, right heel down, facing forward. Inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, backstroke your hands, switch the interlacing behind you. Inhale, coil your chest up. Draw the tailbone down. Exhale, bow forward into humble or devotional warrior. Inhale, shift forward. Hands can come together at the heart if you like. Warrior three, flex the right foot. Exhale, cartwheel your hands to land. Warrior two. Flip your left palm up. Inhale, sideways bend to the rear wall. Peaceful warrior. Right arm behind the back. Exhale, reach the left hand towards front wall. Side angle pose. Left forearm to thigh. Right arm overhead. Inhale, rise again. Warrior two. Exhale, hands to the earth. Lower into your own vinyasa. Arriving in downward dog, 3 to 5 breaths. Here, bend your knees, look ahead of your hands. Bottom of your exhale, walk or float, feet together at the top. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees together. Inhale, sink your hips in chair. Exhale to rise up. And then from here, sweep your arms up as you breathe in. Exhale, bow forward. Step right into plank pose with your legs straight and your feet touching. Spread your weight through all your fingertips like we focused on in the beginning, and steady your gaze a foot ahead of your hands, lengthening your neck. Stabilize your shoulder blades wide onto your back ribs. Lift your navel towards your spine. Keep your legs engaged. Now, start to shift your weight onto your left palm as you roll onto the outside edge of your left foot, flexing your left foot. Step your right foot of you up midway up your mat. So your right foot is facing your right wall like a kickstand on a bike. Press the ground away with these 3 limbs touching the ground and raise your right arm straight up, stacking your wrists and shoulders in one line. Can you feel the contraction of your left side of your obliques, the side of your torso, lifting your left hip away from the floor? Now, if you feel pretty stable, you could stack the right foot on top of the left foot and flex both feet. Either way, we're going to softly step the right foot behind you, landing the ball of your right foot on the floor. So you're on tiptoe, flipping the chest to face the sky. The head turns back as you sweep your right arm overhead towards your front wall, making sure your left shoulder blade is plugged down onto your rib cage. How's your breath? Let's take a couple of lion's breaths here in tripod back bend, wild thing. Deep inhale. Stick out your tongue. Lifting the heart. One more. Breathe in. Lifting the pelvis. Stick out the tongue. Slowly come on down to all fours, hands and knees. Bring your feet to touch, knees together apart. Lower into child's pose. You may like to rest your arms down by your sides and maybe even turn your head to one side. 3 breaths here. Maybe turn your head to the other side if you're stretching your neck. Then crawl your hands forward and come back to all fours. Now feel your fingers spread and your weight really root down to your fingertips. You're down your floor as you stack your shoulders right above your wrists. Steady your gaze a foot ahead of your hands and lengthen your neck, broaden your chest. Feel your triceps slightly towards your rear wall, plugging your shoulder blades wide across your back ribs. Engaging your belly, straighten both legs, and bring your feet together to touch, firming your heels back. Feel your tailbone lengthen towards. Shifting your weight onto your right hand, rotate onto the outside edge of your right foot. Flex your right foot, curl the toes back. Step your left foot 1 foot ahead to the left side, up the middle of your mat, facing the left wall, and then press the ground away with your 3 limbs touching the earth as you raise your left arm. Let your wrists and shoulders stack as you lengthen your neck. Deep breaths. Can you feel the contraction of the right side of your waist, lifting your right hip away from the floor? If your body feels pretty stable here, you could stack your left foot on top of your right foot, flexing both feet here in Vrikshasana. Couple more breaths. Keep the shoulder blades stably on your back ribs away from your neck. Front ribs hugging your back body. Then gently step the ball of your left foot behind you, bending your left knee towards the sky as you lift your pelvis high. And my microphone just flew away. Lifting your left arm overhead as you drop your head back. Let's take a couple of lion's breaths here. Breathe in. Stick out your tongue, open your mouth and eyes wide. One more. Breathe in. Lift your pelvis high, right shoulder blade down the back. Tongue out, let it go. And then very slowly make your way back to all fours, hands and knees, and into child's pose. Oh, joyful celebration in child's pose. Maybe resting the arms down by your sides. You may even like to gently massage the center of your forehead side to side on the ground. Slowing down your breath again. And then from here, plant your hands alongside your knees. Slowly roll up to sit. Now, I'd like to ask you to take the next minute to choose an inversion that's active for you before we cool things down. So that might be downward facing dog. That might be a standing forward fold, maybe wide-legged forward fold, perhaps entering tripod headstand if that's in your practice, or Shirshasana headstand with the fingers interlaced. If you'd like to practice Shirshasana with me, I'll take you through the stages. Otherwise, pick your own. Save shoulder stand and lying on your back with legs up for later on. All right, 1 minute. So for Shirshasana, interlace your fingers, rotate your triceps downward, elbows plug into the earth exactly, shoulders width apart, outer wrist firming down, and it's that same sense of rebounding your weight off the ground to create space within your shoulder joints and in your neck. Then bring the very crown of your head to the earth so that the back of your skull lightly is supported by your palms. Tuck your toes, engage your belly, lift your hips. Walk your feet forward as close as you can towards your elbows, putting less weight on your head and more weight on your forearms, pressing the floor away, lifting the shoulders away from your neck. Now, if you have any neck or shoulder injuries, don't go any further. In fact, you could lift your head off the floor. But if your neck is fine, you can start to lift one leg straight up, keeping your hips squared, not turning out the lifted leg, while flexing the lifted foot, and then switching sides. Perhaps that's plenty for several breaths. Or you could bend your knees, contract your belly like boat pose, and come up higher on the tips of your toes. Maybe start to lift your toes. And by contracting your belly, turning your pelvic bowl to empty itself upside down, perhaps straightening your legs, keeping your feet together and flexed. Paying attention to your breathing. And can you allow yourself to find a sense of genuine contentment, whatever variation of whatever inversion you're choosing to practice? Where is joy in this moment? And can we make it a habit to cultivate joy so that it becomes more of a default mode in our everyday lives? Whenever you feel ready to, let's meet in child's pose, arms wherever you like. In child's pose, you may want to give your triceps a stretch by stepping your elbows ahead of your head on the floor, shoulders width apart, then lifting your palms to face each other, letting the fingertips come together so that your thumbs trace down the back of your neck. And if you want a little more sensation in the triceps, you can walk your elbows forward, sinking your head to the floor as you do this, drawing your shoulder blades down your back. Take a slow in-breath. And exhale out your mouth. Deep inhale. Let it go through your mouth. 2 more breaths like that. And then planting your hands on the floor. Inhale, slowly roll to stack 1 vertebra at a time, lifting your head last. As you slide your legs out in front of you, let's prepare for a seated twist. Bending your left knee, backstroke your left hand behind you on the ground. Cross your right hand to catch the outside of your left foot, flexing both feet. Press downward through your 2 sitting bones. As you sit tall, relax the shoulders. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, kick your left leg forward off the floor towards straight. While pulling the foot towards you, twist, turn your chest to the left. Inhale, root downward to lengthen. Exhale, continue to rotate your chest, maybe reaching your left arm off the floor towards your rear wall. 3 more breaths. At the end of your exhale, bend your left knee and cross your left thigh as much as you can over your right thigh. Keep flexing your right foot. You can use a strap around the ball of the foot if you want to hold it with 2 hands. Otherwise, frame your right leg with both hands. Lift your chest, slide the shoulders down, and then exhale, fold forward, walking your hands forward. Ardha Gomukhasana, half cow face pose. And if your inner and outer right ankle are reachable, and catch hold of them, open your throat and draw your sternum towards your right pinky toe. One more deep breath. And then lift from your chest. Inhale to slowly rise up. Straighten both of your legs. And just shake them out. Roll out your feet. Maybe roll out your shoulders. Big sigh. Inhale deeply. Side 2. So step your right foot on the floor. Backstroke your right hand to the ground behind your pelvis. Cross your left hand to catch the outside of your right ankle or foot. Flex both feet. Root down through your sitting bones. Breathe in to lengthen. Relax the shoulders. Exhale, kick your right leg forward towards straight off the floor as you twist, turning your chest to the right. Root into the ground, lift as you breathe in. Continue twisting as you breathe out, maybe lifting your right hand off the floor, reaching towards your rear wall. Let's take another 3 breaths. At the end of your exhale, unwind your spine, bend your right knee and cross your right thigh as much as you can over the left so that perhaps your knees stack. I didn't say this on the first side, but if it feels difficult to sit tall, you can lift your pelvis onto a blanket if you like. Hold your strap around the ball of your left foot or plant your hands in the ground. Breathe in, lift your sternum, open your throat. Breathe out, extend your sternum towards your left pinky toe, walking your hands forward. Maybe catching a hold of your left ankle. Lifting from your chest, inhale to slowly rise up. Uncross your legs straight, and again, happy jellyfish movement. Baddha Konasana. Bring the soles of your feet together, bend your knees wide apart. You can catch hold of your big toes or your outer feet if you like, or if it feels like you're rounding your back, plant your hands behind your pelvis and try to lift your chest a bit more. So as you root down through your sitting bones, again, inhale, find length throughout your spine, shoulder blades down the back. And then exhale, hug in your belly as you extend your chest forward to bow. Maybe walking the hands forward. And then soften something. Let this feel like you're easing towards rest. 3 more breaths. On your next inhale, float your chest up, slowly lifting your spine. All right, grab a block or 2 for supported shoulder stand, or practicing regular shoulder stand, you may want to use a folded blanket about the thickness of 1.5 inches or 2 inches. So supported shoulder stand, lie on your back, bend your knees, step your feet on the floor, and then lift your pelvis to slip a block or 2 under your sacrum, and then lift your legs straight up. For full-on shoulder stand, I recommend using that blanket to help maintain the natural curve in your neck. Lying back on the blanket so that your shoulder heads are about 2 inches away or 1.5 inches away from the folded smooth edge of the blanket that's towards your rear wall. And then from here, you plug your elbows close to your side ribs onto the blanket, lifting your pelvis. Place your hands on your lower back, lifting your legs straight up to create a vertical line from ankles to pelvis to shoulders. Tilt your chin slightly away from your chest. You might also choose to come into halasana or plow pose, where you lift the legs overhead, whether the toes meet a block or the ground. And you might choose to interlace your fingers like you might do in bridge pose. Feel that rebounding of weight off the floor, the same concept of rooting down here through your outer upper arms and your shoulders and your head to lift up your hips. So as you might already feel, these kinds of upside down postures or inversions are cooling and calming for the nervous system, unlike headstand or dolphin pose, which are energizing and heating. So when you're ready to, Bending your knees, you can slide your hands down your back towards your rib cage and slowly lower your spine and pelvis. Coming into fish pose. If you were in supported shoulder stand, you may want to enter fish pose as well. It's a great counter posture for either of these, where you slip your palms face down underneath your pelvis so that your thumbs touch each other. Legs are straight forward, feet are together and relaxed. And then you puff up your chest and tilt your head back as though you're trying to look at your rear wall upside down. Here, opening your throat, you might take at least 3 deep exhalations through your mouth. And then beginning to wind down towards Shavasana. You might draw your bent knees into your chest and rock a little side to side to massage your back. You might come into happy baby pose and draw your knees towards the floor outside your ribs while grounding your tailbone, head, and shoulders. Or maybe a gentle supine twist, dropping the knees both to one side a few breaths, and then to the other side for a few breaths with arms wide open. And as you're setting up for comfortable Shavasana, if you've got any tension in the lower back you want to relieve, you can grab a pillow or roll up a blanket or use your 2 blocks and place them across your mat to land just behind the backs of your knees, splaying your feet apart a little wider than hips distance. It may feel good once you're lying down to just rotate your thighs inward and outward a few times, and even to trace your thumbs down the left and right sides of your mid-spine towards your tailbone to encourage space and length through your lower back. You might even take a moment to walk each shoulder blade further down the back ribs, dropping your shoulder bones onto the earth as you open the chest, palms face up. Maybe even give your skull a gentle movement and allow it to find a neutral position where your jaw can unwind further and your tongue can soften. And as you're ready to, closing your eyes, relax the muscles of your face. Let your whole body rest in the support beneath it as you allow your breath to flow naturally. Shanti means peace. Om Shanti. A little more from Willem Kuyken on joy. Joy is a capacity we all have that can be trained and developed. It is a primary component of psychological well-being, encompassing moments of appreciation, enduring contentment or Santosha, and a sense of confidence and gratitude. 2 questions you might ask to help cultivate joy. 1, how have you touched or have been touched by the world today? And 2, what simple moment or mundane activity today can you feel genuinely grateful for? For those of you that want to sit with me for 5 minutes of meditation, please let your body gently make its way up. I'm going to go ahead and set the timer for 5 minutes. Gently bringing your palms together at your heart center. As you lift your heart, you might visualize a wide smile there. And can you allow perhaps an external smile? Ways to cultivate joy. I love how he said about a childlike, innocent perception of everyday things. What are those everyday things that you can feel joyful about in your life? Let's close with one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.